watching. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing, and thank you for your support this far. Of course, as promised in my last video, I said that today I'll talk about the father wound. So having grown up without my dad, I didn't even realize how much that had affected me, of course, until I started digging deeper. And of course, that forced me to face my wound and to deal with it. And today, I'm here to continue with the series, Father Wound, and I want to talk about the signs. How do you know that you have a father wound? Number one is you keep on attracting people who are emotionally unavailable. Why? The reason why we attract people who are emotionally unavailable is because we tend to not know how, a person who's emotionally available looks like. So we end up settling for less because that feels familiar, okay? And we meet, if you're a woman, you meet men who are, they show you initial interest and then start to disappear with excuses. I was busy, I was doing this, and I was doing this, and I was doing this. For those who have father wound, they understand what I mean. Number two is anxiety and dread. When you've gone through a father wound, sometimes it gets to a place where you start to just be anxious about everything, and you dread even just being in charge, doing the bigger stuff in life. You begin hiding. Sometimes if you're a man, you don't know how to be a father. You don't even want to carry the responsibility of being a father. So you kind of panic and, just have anxiety, because what happens is that anger that you feel, that shame, that sense of loss, that sadness, all of it just comes and it gives you anxiety and dread, And then the other sign is low self-esteem. Low confidence. So when you're even in a meeting and they're asking a question, you can't just raise your hand and give an answer because you're busy. You don't have that confidence, you don't have that esteem. There's that inner critic that tells you you're not good enough. So and then the other sign also is it leads sometimes to a bad mood and even depression, because sometimes when your body harbors all these feelings, anger, anxiety, all that, eventually it leads to a bad mood. Eventually it may also lead to depression. Another one is anger and rage. Oh my goodness. If your father was emotionally unavailable, you tend to live with this anger and rage. And I remember feeling so much anger and rage. You tend to live with this anger and rage where you feel, like you missed out on something because maybe you looked at your friends who had their own fathers, and now you feel like you missed on so much, because having a father is so nice. It's so nice. I remember seeing my friends with their fathers, and I didn't have a father. I had a grandfather, although he really tried his best to help me deal, but I just missed my father. Anyway, my biological father. And then of course, when conflict arises, you'll find that you tend to avoid conflict, and or sometimes if you don't avoid conflict, you always react with anger and rage, because there's something inside of you that tells you that something bad was done to you. So when a conflict arises, it becomes like a trigger for you. The other sign of a father wound is you have boundaries that are too rigid. You just don't want to. You don't want to let in someone who will hurt you the way your father hurt you. So you become a person with too rigid boundaries where you can't allow others to get close to you, and you struggle to protect yourself. You'd rather deal with the pain of not having people in your life than them letting you down. And I remember someone told me something one day. Sometimes if you protect yourself so much, what happens is you also protect yourself from experiencing the good things as well. So, and of course, sometimes you just think that locking people outside, allowing them to disappoint you is worse than you feeling lonely. So you decide to just live a lonely life. Another sign also is having loose boundaries. Somehow you sleep around, you do things that are risky. It's like you're trying to what is it called? You try to be available for everyone else so that you can be validated. And I don't know, one thing I've realized is that the more you are too available, the more people don't value you. That is the weird thing about it. So you will try to do more and more to feel like you're validated, like you're appreciated, that you're loved, and then you only end up feeling the opposite, because people don't know how to accept or to respect something that is too available. You become loose, you sleep around with men, you sleep around with women, because you're trying to fill a certain void inside of you. And of course, sometimes the other thing that I noticed is that you seek especially emotionally unavailable partners. So because you're trying to seek the same relationship that you experience at childhood, because sometimes our brains only attract that which sounds familiar, that which looks familiar. So that is, you tend to repeat the same kind of feeling that you got when you're a child. And then the other and the last sign is repeating the same pattern. So if your father was abusive to you, you abuse others as well. You abuse the women in your life, you abuse the men in your life. For many women, they become verbally abusive. For many men, they become physically abusive, and even become alcoholic because you're trying to run away from what you feel. So you tend to repeat the cycle, whichever cycle that you went through with your father. If he was an alcoholic, you become an alcoholic. If he was abusive, you become abusive. If he was absent, you become absent. So you tend to repeat also the abuse cycle. Yeah. So you get flooded with the feelings of relating. You understand that this feeling is you want to be a good father, but you don't have the capacity to become a good father. And of course, that is, you realize that after generations that your father, the same way your grandfather was the same way your father was, and it's the same way you are, for example. And if it's a lady, the same way. Yeah. So you struggle to feel good enough as a parent as well. Okay, you don't feel good enough. Even when your children tell you, Dad, we love you, they try to come near you, you push them away because you don't feel good enough as a parent. So that's it. Those are the signs of a father wound. And unless you dig deep into the wounds and you deal with it, you will continue to bleed on your children. You continue to bleed with others around you. You continue to bleed even in the workplace. This wound affects you. It doesn't respect anything that that you have to deal with. So it's important to understand this, because then you will be able to handle it, to fix it, because again, there's a solution. And of course, join me next week as I talk about how then do you deal with a father wound. Join me, because this is going to be a very interesting topic. I love talking about this because this is something I've personally gone through. I may not have experienced all the signs, but I knew that I had a father wound. And of course, when I started my therapy, I had to learn so much. So thank you so much for liking and subscribing. Please share, continue sharing with the people that you love, because when we share information that could help people, it shows that we care. So please share this video with other people. And otherwise, God bless you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for staying with me, and see you around. Thank you. Bye.